I don't know if you've ever experienced this feeling, but it's the feeling of having your heart completely full. This last week, this last weekend, I got to spend with my brother and my best friend, Will, from 4th grade. It was absolutely phenomenal. We got to ride bikes, joke with each other, give each other a hard time. And when I told Will today, when I jumped on the call with him, he reached out to me and I said, man, I got to get in the studio. I have all this stuff in my heart and I need to get it out. I need to share it as much as possible. You know what he said to me? Probably the greatest thing that any friend or any person in my life could ever say. He said, man, I'll be watching, I'll be ready to comment, and I'll be sharing it. What it told me is that he was supporting what I was doing. And that made me feel seen and feel heard. And if you've ever been in a place where you felt seen and you felt heard, magic has the ability to be able to happen. We're talking about Inchstones. We're going through Inchstones. Inchstones are those little tiny things in life, the little tiny moments that happen that create the magic. And when you pile a bunch of Inchstones together, then you have a milestone. But we've got to focus on the Inchstones, and I learned that this week hanging out with my brother and my best friend, Willie. So why don't we get this party started?
Nothing more on my mind. I got to shine, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised. Over and over and over again. Make no mistake, we continue to win. Defeat never known, cause I will not lose. They wanna mimic my moves, but can't walk in my shoes.
The Vibe Room is coming to you in July. We're going to be solidifying the date's going to be in Salt Lake City, Utah at the Edison House. It is going to be unbelievable. It's a live version of the podcast. And to start it off, I want to thank every single one of you. I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you for reviewing, for subscribing, and for sharing it with every single one of your friends. I tell you, it's probably one of the greatest compliments I could ever get is when you share it, when you comment, and just simply when you watch and, watch or listen. If you're listening on Apple, I love you. If you're listening on Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, YouTube, make sure you subscribe and you just put a comment, whatever the comment is. We're right in Inchstones and we're doing the corresponding proverb for the corresponding day. It's incredible the wisdom that comes through. I got to sit down this morning. It's May 20th, 2024. It's Travis Lloyd's birthday, so happy birthday, Travis Lloyd. And I got to go through the corresponding proverb for the corresponding day, and it's amazing. I start reading it, then it starts reading me. And it read me today. This Inchstones, we got a chance to go to Fiesta del Sol this weekend with my buddy Will and my best friend and hero, Rob, my big brother. We met this guy named Nico. He was on the San Diego Sockers, and he was a goalkeeper, and now he's in the Hall of Fame, the Ukrainian Hall of Fame for soccer. And we got a chance to meet him. He had some rings on. We started chatting it up, and he just said something that hit all of us. And what he said is, we don't stop playing because we're old. We get old because we stop playing. And I started thinking about it. I was like, man, there's so many times where I stop laughing, I stop playing because I need to be serious. I need to think about business. I need to think about this, and I need to be serious. And it's like, I watch, and those type of people get old. And we don't stop playing because we get old. We get old because we stop playing. And how can we keep on playing? And so in Proverbs 20 today, I was asking God, like, how can I keep playing? He said, it's simple, son. All you need to do is keep a sober mind. And I thought, a sober mind? What do you mean by this? Well, I experienced it this weekend with Will and Rob because my mind became sober. My mind became sober because it locked into the little tiny moments that were happening. My brother was riding slow on a bike, which caused us to go slower, which caused us and created an opportunity to be able to have more conversations. It took 3 times as long, 4 times as long to get to Encinitas from Carlsbad when we were riding that slow, but we got to have incredible conversations, and the ride I didn't want to end. If you've ever gone on a vacation, you've ever spent time with people who you love, it's here and then it's gone. And as quickly as it starts is as quickly as it ends, and you're like, wow, how did the time go by so fast? Well, it happened to go by so fast because sometimes we don't slow down and focus on the little tiny moments, what we call Inchstones. And those Inchstones can change everything. So here we go, a sober mind. How can you have a sober mind and be able to be locked into that moment? Well, that's in verse 1 in Proverbs 20. Wine is a mocker and beer is a brawler. Whoever is led astray by them is not wise. And see, this is not talking about beer and wine. This is figurative. What is the thing that is intoxicating your mind to take you out of the moment? And whatever that is, whatever that substance is, become aware of it, acknowledge it, and then stay away from it. A sober mind. A sober mind in verse number 3, it'll help you to see that strife doesn't need to be there. It will eliminate strife in your life. And as we eliminate strife, guess what starts to happen? We start to have peace. We get to be present in those moments. It'll also help us with laziness. That laziness to say like, I just don't need to do the thing that means the most to my friends. The other day we got the chance to get up and go on a walk. And I could have stayed lazy and stayed in my bed, but you know what? To get up and walk with my best friend Will and my big brother and hero Rob, we got to have these amazing, amazing conversations. But a lot of times when we're lazy about not doing the thing that we need to do when we need to do it, we won't get to do the thing that we want to do when we want to do it. And in verse number 3, it talks about this. It is one's honor to avoid strife, but in every fool is quick to quarrel. Sluggards do not plow in season, so in harvest time they look but find nothing. That's in verse 4. And see, if you have a sober mind, you can have insight. You can create righteousness in your life, which just means doing the right thing at the right time. And then you can be blessed. And that's what it talks about in verse 5 and 7. Also, too, when you have a sober mind, what's incredible is that you will find that you will have humility. And humility will come with a sober mind because when you lock into that moment, you lock into the Inchstones and you start applying those things, you start to realize that not every single thing's about you. It's about the person that you're with and how they feel when they're around you. And you can give off that vibe, which would be amazing. It'll bring honesty and integrity. And that's in verse 10, 11, 14, 17, and 23. It'll bring diligence, which is right work. And imagine, with a sober mind, you can choose, as opposed to being busy, that you could be in action as opposed to just in motion. And this was probably one of the craziest things that I learned is there was a lot of times where I'd just be in motion, just doing all these things. But when we get to a point and we get in action, it's one step closer to your desired result. And that is diligence, and this is verse 13. You see, a sober mind is more valuable than any treasures that you could ever imagine, because if you have a sober mind, you can have discretion. You can see the things that are coming. You can see the people that are around you. You can see the need that is there. When we slow down, see, a sober mind will cause us to slow down. It'll cause us to slow down and be able to see exactly what's going on at that time. A sober mind will keep you out of debt. Because when we slow down, when we sleep on something, when we sit in, we have the tendency not to make those rash decisions or jump into something that we cannot pay for. And when I say debt, it's not just about money. It could be time. It could be relationship. It could be energy. But how many times have we got into debt with our energy, with our money, with our time? But it's all because we don't have a sober mind. A sober mind will cause you to seek counsel. My brother taught me this so many times. He's like, Cal, like, you're not going to miss the bus, man. The bus was made for you. And if you feel like, oh, I have to do it or I'll miss out, generally it's time to pump the brakes, slow down, and realize that when you really, truly seek counsel, there's so many aspects of your life that will be not as challenging. And a sober mind will keep you away from gossip. Speaking about someone, speaking ill of someone who isn't in your presence right now, and that's all gossip is. It'll cause you to be able to speak life. And when you can speak life into situations and scenarios that you're in, it's amazing what can happen. In verse 20, it talks about honoring your parents. A sober mind will help you to honor your parents, no matter what type of relationship you had with them. I said this in our men's group the other day, which was that every single person has the perfect parents. And a guy stopped me and he was like, well, what do you mean? I didn't have the perfect parents. I said, well, you had the perfect parents for your situation because you're perfectly made in the image of God. And you're here right now. And if he needed you someplace else, he'd have you there. And so every situation was perfect, meaning that if you had a rough time, well, it set you up for the times that you're in now. It set you up to have perseverance, to have resilience, to have all those things. You could sit in and be mad at all the things that were in your life, but also you could sit back and say, I'm so glad. I'm so glad that my parents were hard on me. I'm so glad that I had tough times because those created resilience in me now. A sober mind will create patience and faith. It'll help you to stay focused on the daily bread and Inchstones, just a little daily bread. We get so focused on the milestones. What is your 5-year plan, your 3-year plan? It doesn't mean that those things are bad, but focusing on the Inchstones, you start celebrating those things, and what will happen is magic will start to happen. You'll start to have moments, little tiny moments that will happen. We had a moment this weekend when we got to go and sit at my parents' bench. Both of my parents, we got benches for them when they passed away. We're sitting right next to each other, looking over the Carlsbad Lagoon. And if you are in Carlsbad and you get the chance to go, say both Jackie and Thomas Cardenas, they're right next to each other. And me and my brother and Will got to go and sit on those benches and have a moment. But it was just the little Inchstone. It was the taking the time and sitting in that moment. But to be able to experience that daily bread every single day, we've got to slow it down, and we got to focus on the Inchstones. You see, a sober mind will help you to focus on love and faithfulness, and love and faithfulness take you through every single thing, and it'll help you as what I have been challenged with a lot is sometimes trials don't make sense. And a sober mind will help you to realize that trials will start to make sense. Trials will start to make sense because with the sober mind, you're slowed down. You're starting to look at the moments. You're starting to look at the Inchstones. And with those little tiny Inchstones, you'll start to say, well, this trial may be challenging now, but on down the line, it's not going to be that challenging. I was telling the story to my brother and Will when we were sitting and having a smoothie, and I told him my story. I started talking to him about being in San Diego and taking a job, and I took the job. It was $200 a week before taxes, so it was $320.11 every 2 weeks, $640.22 a month. My rent payment was $560. So I had about $60 per month to be able to live with all the rest of the bills and, whether it be food or whatever it was. And you make do. But those times created an opportunity for me to be able to work my face off, lock in. I couldn't go out because I couldn't afford it. I could have one meal or one, go out every week, and it was either to Carl's Jr. or to Vesuvio to have a pizza, and that was on Thursday. But what it did is it helped me to be able to focus in at that time because I couldn't go out with my friends because I didn't have the ability to do it. You see, trials start to make sense when your mind is sober and we slow it down. And as I was writing today in Proverbs 20, I was just so thankful for my brother and my buddy Will and spending time, because they helped me to see it from a different perspective, because I sat and I was engulfed in that moment. I even took a French fry this weekend and I ate it, not stuffed the whole thing in my mouth. I just ate one little bite. And you know what? It tasted better. And it took longer, and I didn't eat as many fries. So I want to ask you today, what are the little things that sometimes you're bypassing to get to the next moment when your moment is happening right here, right now? What about that person that you're overlooking? Oh, I can't wait till I get to this place. I've been in there. I've been there. I want to tell you this. Look, this morning as I was writing, this is what God had me to. This is what He translated to me. To have the ability to play, we must keep a sober mind filled with wisdom, knowledge, insight, discretion, discipline, and strength. This will keep us in a place where we know that we serve a God who owns it all, loves us, and has perfect timing. When we truly understand this, we will be at peace, which will allow us to be present and savor the moments that He has provided and free us to play every day. Your inchstone today is to allow yourself to play and watch the magic happen. You see, we don't stop playing because we get old. We get old because we stop playing. And the only way that we can keep playing in our life is to keep a sober mind. Proverbs 20, the corresponding proverb for the corresponding day. I want to tell you all how much I appreciate you, how much I love you. If you've tuned in, spend your morning with me sometimes, your night. It's night right now, and I appreciate you spending time. Spend this little time with you, and what I promise you I'll do is pour my heart and soul into every single episode that we do. And what is so cool is, for me, I don't really struggle with material. The reason why is because I'm constantly going to the source. And that source is the corresponding proverb, corresponding day. 3,000-year-old wisdom that is applicable today and every day. I want to thank all of you. My name is Kelly Cardenas, and I'm officially off the hot seat. Peace, love, and soul.